statistics. That term may be associated with so many things, like charts, data, numbers, tedious work of those projecting certain patterns. However, does statistics have more joyful, intriguing side to it? Or how was it perceived years ago? Apparently, it was not that long ago when the data was much harder to compile and subsequently analyze. Imagine living several decades ago when there were only paper receipts available, no personal computers, online transactions, or mobile banking facilities whatsoever. How would you cope in such a reality? How would statisticians accommodate data within community lacking connected service, complex operations? The deficiency of studies in the area of economic and political sides of public life might have been equivalent to navigating through the dense forest without GPS or even compass, hence possessing only paper maps. Have you ever attempted to resolve any problem through examination of circumstances, investigation of provided information, leading you to the best accessible solution? In that vein, statistical tools enable us to digest enormous quantities of data, to access accurately certain measures. By all accounts, statistics is soon to become a gateway to a future filled with questions, thereby the response to all of them. Yet, there are numerous inquiries to be set up as technology progresses. First and foremost, what can we do to tackle global poverty? As we know strikingly little about poor countries, awareness needs to be disseminated and tools required to be spread in order to face this delusion. How can statistics contribute? Countries like China and India transformed themselves over the last decades, transpiring as quite prosperous economies. In developing countries, steps must be taken in order to enhance quality of living. The award-winning researcher Esther Duflo conducted an outstanding experiment to improve the quality of the education of the poor. Aiming to combat long-standing problems concerning teacher shortage in small rural schools, she enacted technology-driven solution. The teachers were given cameras and time-stamped schedule. Meanwhile, they proved their presence by having a picture taken with students. What were the results? Surprisingly positive. Compared with prior to the experiment, in the selected group of students, their test scores went up, which resulted in a higher percentage of students that have graduated. In Kenya, yet another experiment was conducted. This one included randomly selected farmers who were given subsidies to purchase fertilizer right after harvest. The fertilizer's beneficial quality suggested enhanced crop yields. What's more, the purchase after harvest increased fertilizer's use enough to reap results in essentially higher crops. Why? Because neither the farmers nor crops are going to be prosperous when given subsidy at any other time. When supplied just before the new season, farmers would have other expenses that are to be covered with that subsidy. The experiments presented have shown life-altering methods for the poor, thereby expanding our knowledge on such a critical issue. Are you aware of how much information is derived about us on a daily basis? Sometimes without your knowledge or even realization, data is accumulated and then tapped into by companies adjusting their policies to a current demand. It apparently does coincide with tailored set of products offered to us in advertisements. Most companies strive to increase revenue by understanding and addressing their customers' needs and desires. For instance, you may get bombarded with coupons related to your stage of life, preferences, hobbies, activities in free time, recent searches on the web, and so on. To you, it may seem fortuitous that discounts are included for the items you are keen on getting. Underneath that mask of perfect advertisement are statisticians who are acutely aware of effect it's going to have on you. Accordingly, Facebook, one of the most popular social media sites all around the world, with the most valuable data assets, is estimated to magnetize investors. They aim to accumulate information by using digital databases, far overstepping the boundaries of our privacy. This poses a question: how to prevent it then? The solution is quite simple. Do not disclose information about yourself when unnecessary, or even avoid it altogether. Just keep in mind, you are not anonymous out there, and sometimes you might get started while browsing the web with the accuracy of the adverts popping up. Over the last decade, the structure of businesses succumbed to immense and profound shift. Up-to-date equipment and software radically changed the course of entrepreneurship. What once seemed unavoidable now is truly preventable. These companies collapse. Not only is knowing how to analyze businesses' data that lies at your fingertips advantageous, but also inherently insightful in terms of processing and interpreting the data. It may help with uncovering underlying trends and patterns. That said, endeavoring to find a niche within market can be facilitated by creative models, predictive way of thinking. Imagine you were to come up with a brilliant idea for a startup, then with available funds. What would you do? Apparently, a research. Whether is there a multitude of similar functioning companies? How expensive would it be to commence entrepreneurial activity? Or concisely, is the effort going to pay off and to benefit? Furthermore, data is collected by groups in Poland and the Office for National Statistics in UK, and their equivalents all around the world. These organizations shed the light on how country copes with certain matters, including inflation and unemployment rate compared to years prior, and to countries of similar size of population. These indicators and gauges enable government and organizations functioning within the country to take steps and enact measures enhancing investment in those areas in need. Therefore, make our livelihoods more prosperous. Admittedly, statistical exploration does address most prevalent societal and economic issues and challenges, as well as those mundane we are able to perceive in day-to-day life. Yet, some questions still need to be answered. Thank you.